The wounded prince, the emergency call, the medical station. Hippocrates drifted silently in the void between star systems, its white hull gleaming against the cosmic darkness. Inside the sterile corridors, Dr. Maya Chen moved with practiced efficiency, her tired eyes scanning patient charts on her tablet. At 24, she was the youngest chief medical officer ever assigned to a deep space facility. But her reputation for saving impossible cases had earned her the posting. The station served as a neutral medical facility in the contested zone between three major galactic powers. Pirates, merchants, diplomats, and warriors from dozens of species sought treatment here when nowhere else would take them. Maya had seen it all, from Zarian poison victims to Drakmari warriors with honor wounds they refused to heal properly. Tonight felt different though. The skeleton crew of 6 humans and 2 alien medics had been working double shifts for weeks. Dr. Rodriguez was recovering from Altarian flu, and Nurse Johnson had been called back to Earth for a family emergency. Maya rubbed her temples, fighting off the beginning of another headache. Dr. Chen to the emergency bay, the station's AI announced with calm urgency. Priority 1, trauma incoming. Maya dropped her tablet and ran down the corridor, her worn sneakers squeaking against the polished floor. She burst through the doors to find her remaining staff already preparing the trauma suite. The massive bay doors were cycling open, revealing a battered Vorthok military shuttle. The Vorthok were legendary throughout the galaxy, 7 feet tall, with crystalline bone structures visible beneath their translucent blue skin. They were warriors without equal. Their empire controlled 3 star systems and had never lost a war. They were also notoriously proud, preferring to die rather than show weakness. Steam hissed from the shuttle as it settled on the landing platform. Maya pulled on her surgical gloves, trying to remember everything she knew about Vorthok physiology. Their hearts were located differently than humans. Their nervous system ran through their bone structure rather than separate pathways, and their blood chemistry was highly complex. The shuttle doors opened with a grinding sound, revealing to Vorthok soldiers carrying a third between them. Maya's breath caught in her throat. The injured Vorthok was clearly of high rank, his armor decorated with intricate engravings and precious metals. But the beautiful ceremonial gear was shredded and blackened, and purple-blue blood seeped from multiple wounds. What happened? Maya asked as they transferred the patient to her medical table. Diplomatic ambush, one soldier replied curtly in accented standard. Prince Kale was attempting to negotiate peace with the hegemony when they attacked. He fought 12 assassins alone. Maya began her initial examination while her nurses attached monitoring equipment. The readings were catastrophic. Multiple organ damage, severe blood loss, possible spinal trauma, and what looked like poison in his system. Any human with these injuries would have been dead hours ago. We cannot treat him, the soldier continued. Our medical ships are 3 days away. He will be dead in 6 hours. Not if I can help it, Maya muttered, pulling up Vorthok anatomy charts on her tablet. She had never operated on a Vorthok before, but she had studied every alien physiology file in the medical database during her academy years. The impossible surgery doctor, Nurse Peters, whispered urgently, his primary heart is failing. Secondary heart is compensating, but it won't last long. Maya stared at the readouts, her mind racing. Vorthok had 2 hearts that worked in tandem, unlike the human single heart system. If the primary heart failed completely, the secondary couldn't maintain adequate circulation to their enhanced musculature and dense bone structure. We need to replace the primary heart valve, Maya decided. But we don't have Vorthak-compatible parts. Then he dies, one of the Vorthak soldiers said with grim acceptance. It is an honorable death. He fought well. No, Maya's voice was steel. Nobody dies on my table. Not today. She turned to her staff. Get me to the fabrication lab. I'm going to need biocompatible materials and the molecular printer. Peters, keep him stabilized. Martinez, prep the surgical suite for extended operation. The next 18 hours blurred together in a haze of concentrated effort. Maya worked with microscopic precision, using human medical techniques adapted for Vorthok physiology. She 3D printed replacement parts using a combination of synthetic materials and biosamples from the patient himself. The poison was the trickiest part. It was specifically designed to target Vorthok metabolism, but Maya recognized the molecular structure from her xenobiology studies. She synthesized an antidote using a combination of human medications and rare minerals from the station's emergency supplies when Prince Kale's primary heart finally began beating steadily again. Maya had been operating for 28 hours straight. Her hands were rock steady despite her exhaustion. Guided by pure determination and years of training, the recovery 3 days later. Prince Kale opened his eyes for the first time since arriving at the station. Maya was dozing in a chair beside his bed, having barely left the medical bay except for brief breaks. Dark circles rimmed her eyes, and her usually neat appearance was disheveled from days of constant work. Kale's first instinct was to rise and assess threats, but his body wouldn't respond properly. Panic flared in his chest until he saw the human female sitting nearby. Memory flooded back slowly. The ambush, the pain, voices speaking in the human language. Then darkness. "You're awake," Maya said softly, noticing his stirring. "How do you feel?" "Weak," Kale admitted, the word tasting bitter in his mouth. Vorthok warriors were never supposed to admit weakness, especially not to aliens. That's normal after major surgery. Your body needs time to adapt to the repairs. Maya checked his vital signs, professional and gentle. You were in bad shape when you arrived. Multiple organ damage, severe blood loss, and you'd been poisoned with a neural toxin. Kale studied her face, trying to understand. You are the physician who treated me. Dr. Maya Chen, she introduced herself. And yes, I performed your surgery. Why? The question came out harsher than he intended. Your species and mine have no formal alliance. You had no obligation to risk resources on a dying Vorthok. Maya was quiet for a moment, considering her answer. Because you needed help, she said simply. That's what doctors do. We heal whoever needs healing. Kale had never encountered such a concept. In Vorthok society, loyalty was earned through strength and honor. Resources were allocated based on strategic value. The idea that someone would exhaust themselves to save a stranger from another species was completely foreign. Your surgery was flawless, he admitted grudgingly. How long did it take? About 36 hours total. With some breaks, Maya said casually. Kale's crystalline bone structure flickered with surprise, a Vorthok expression of shock. You operated for 36 hours. Continuously. Someone had to. Your guards couldn't wait for your Imperial medical ships to arrive. Maya smiled tiredly. Besides, it was an interesting challenge. I'd never worked on Vorthok physiology before. You had never, ... double quotes, Kale's voice trailed off as the full implications hit him. This human had saved his life using techniques she had improvised in real time. Working with alien biology she had only studied theoretically. The skill and dedication required for such a feat was staggering. Growing understanding over the following days. As Cale's strength gradually returned, he found himself studying his human physician with growing fascination. Maya made her rounds with quiet competence, treating each patient with the same careful attention regardless of their species or social status. She worked 18-hour shifts regularly, survived on nutrition bars and stimulant patches, and never complained about the understaffed conditions. When a group of injured miners arrived from a collapsed asteroid facility, Maya worked for 3 straight days to save them all. "Why do you push yourself so hard?" Cale asked during one of his physical therapy sessions. His recovery was proceeding faster than expected, much to the amazement of his guards. Maya paused in adjusting his exercise equipment. "Because people are counting on me. This station serves beings from across the galaxy who have nowhere else to go. If I don't help them, who will? But surely your superiors could send more staff, better equipment." "Budget constraints," Maya said with a wry smile. "Deep space medical stations aren't exactly high-priority assignments. Most doctors prefer comfortable positions on core worlds." Cale was beginning to understand something profound about human nature. While his people valued individual glory and strength, humans seemed driven by a desire to help others, even at personal cost. Maya had thrown herself into saving his life not for honor or reward, but simply because she believed it was right. "In our culture," Cale said slowly, "physicians are valued but not revered. They patch wounds so warriors can return to battle. What you do here, it's different." "How so?" "You don't just heal, but you give hope to the hopeless. You refuse to accept defeat even when victory seems impossible." Cale met her eyes with his own luminescent gaze. "You saved my life when my own empire's medicine could not. That makes you a warrior in a way my people don't understand." Maya felt heat rise in her cheeks at the unexpected compliment. "I just did my job." "No," Cale said firmly. "You did much more than that." As his recovery continued, Cale began helping around the medical bay despite Maya's protests that he should rest. His powerful frame was perfect for moving heavy equipment, and his quick mind absorbed medical procedures with surprising ease. Watching Maya work day after day, seeing her compassion for every patient regardless of their background, Cale began to understand why humans were gaining a reputation throughout the galaxy as stubborn idealists who refused to give up on lost causes. It wasn't weakness, as many species believed. It was a strength of spirit that could move mountains. The eternal bond, the revelation 2 weeks into his recovery. Prince Cale had regained most of his strength and was preparing for departure when he overheard a conversation that changed everything. He was walking past the staff break room when he heard familiar voices inside. "Maya's pushing herself too hard again," Nurse Peters was saying. "She's been working non-stop since the Vorthok prince arrived. Someone needs to force her to take a break." Dr. Martinez replied. "She worked 72 hours straight during his surgery, then barely slept for a week while monitoring his recovery. I'm worried she's going to collapse. You know how she gets when a patient needs her. Remember the Centauri fever outbreak? She didn't leave the station for 3 months. Cale froze in the corridor. 72 hours. Maya had told him 36. He realized she had been downplaying her sacrifice, making it seem routine when in fact she had pushed herself to the absolute limits of human endurance to save his life. He found Maya in her office, reviewing patient files despite the late hour. Dark circles under her eyes made her look fragile, but her expression was focused and determined as always. "You lied to me," Kale said without preamble. Maya looked up, surprised. "About what?" "The surgery. You said 36 hours. Your staff says it was 72. Maya's cheeks flushed pink. "I didn't want you to feel obligated, ... obligated." Kale's voice rose with incredulous anger. "You nearly killed yourself to save my life, and you were worried about me feeling obligated. It's what any doctor would have done." "No," Kale said firmly. "It's what you would do, because you refuse to accept defeat, even when facing impossible odds." He sat down across from her desk, his luminescent eyes intense. "In my culture, when someone saves your life at great personal cost, it creates a bond deeper than blood. We call it heart debt. It can never be repaid, only honored." Maya shifted uncomfortably. "You don't owe me anything. I was doing my job. Your job was to provide medical care. What you did went far beyond professional duty." Kale leaned forward. "You gave me not just life, but hope. You showed me that strength comes in forms my people never understood." Before Maya could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. The emergency communication system crackled to life with an urgent message in the Vorthok language. Kale's expression darkened as he listened. "Imperial fleet approaching," he translated grimly. "They're coming to collect me." The confrontation 6 hours later. The medical station was surrounded by sleek Vorthok warships. The main docking bay echoed with the sound of armored boots as a full company of Imperial guards marched aboard. Led by a towering figure in elaborate ceremonial armor, General Thane, Kale's older brother and heir to the Imperial throne, surveyed the human medical facility with obvious disdain. His crystalline bone structure flickered with patterns of disappointment and shame as he approached his wounded sibling. "Brother Thane," said formally in the Vorthok tongue, "you live, but at what cost to our honor?" "I live because of human skill and compassion," Kale replied in Standard, ensuring Maya could understand. "Dr. Chen saved my life when our own medical corps declared me beyond help." Thane's gaze fixed on Maya with cold assessment. "This weak creature. Impossible. Humans lack the knowledge and strength for such work." Maya stepped forward, her chin raised defiantly despite being surrounded by 7-foot-tall warriors. Prince Kale was critically injured, but his condition wasn't hopeless. With proper treatment and dedication, recovery was possible. Dedication. Thane laughed harshly. What could a fragile human know of dedication? "She worked for 3 days straight without sleep," Kale interjected. "She invented new surgical techniques She refused to give up when everyone else, including our people, had accepted my death." The Imperial guards muttered among themselves in their own language. Even among the proud Vorthok, such dedication was legendary. General Thane's expression hardened. "Regardless, my brother's weakness has brought shame to our house. The failed diplomatic mission, the injuries requiring alien aid. He cannot return to claim his birthright. Then he can stay here," Maya said without hesitation. "We can always use another skilled medic." The simple offer stunned everyone present. A human civilian had just offered sanctuary to an Imperial prince, defying one of the galaxy's most powerful military forces. You would risk war with our empire to protect one you barely know? Thane asked, his voice dangerous. "I would protect any patient under my care," Maya replied steadily. "That's what healers do." Kale watched this exchange with growing amazement. Maya's courage in facing down Imperial guards was breathtaking, but more than that, her offer came from genuine care rather than political calculation. She truly saw him not as a prince or a strategic asset, but simply as someone who needed help. "The declaration enough," Kale said, his voice carrying absolute authority. He straightened to his full, imposing height, every inch the imperial prince despite his civilian clothes. "Brother, you speak of honor and shame, but you understand neither." The crystalline patterns in his bone structure shifted to formal, ceremonial configurations as he continued. "This human physician has shown me what true strength looks like. It's not the power to destroy enemies, but the dedication to heal them. Not the glory of victory, but the refusal to accept defeat when lives hang in the balance." Kale moved to stand beside Maya, facing his brother and the assembled guards. "Dr. Maya Chen worked 72 hours without rest to save my life. She invented new medical techniques using only theoretical knowledge of our physiology. She has spent weeks nursing me back to health, asking nothing in return." His voice carried throughout the docking bay, reaching every ear. "By the ancient laws of our people, I declare heart debt to Dr. Maya Chen and through her, to all humanity. This debt can never be repaid, only honored through eternal service." General Thane's crystalline structure flickered with shock. "Brother, you cannot... "I can, and I do," Kale declared. "Furthermore, I formally request that the Imperial Council establish a permanent alliance with Earth and its colonies. These humans possess qualities our Empire needs if we are to grow stronger, rather than simply more feared." The implications were staggering. A formal alliance with the Vorthok Empire would transform humanity's position in the galaxy overnight. Trade opportunities, technological exchange, military protection, the benefits would be immense. But Maya was focused on something else entirely. "Kale, you don't have to do this. I don't want gratitude if it costs you your place in your family." Kale smiled, the first truly relaxed expression she had seen from him. "You still don't understand. Saving my life didn't cost me anything. It gave me perspective on what truly matters." He turned back to his brother. "The diplomatic mission failed because we approached it with arrogance instead of wisdom. Dr. Chen has shown me that strength and compassion aren't opposites. They're two aspects of the same power. The new alliance." Thane studied his brother for a long moment, then looked at Maya with new respect. "You have changed him," he admitted. The brother who left for the diplomatic mission was focused only on military glory. "The one who stands before me speaks of wisdom and compassion." "The change was already within him," Maya replied. "Sometimes we just need the right circumstances to discover who we really are." Thane's crystalline structure shifted to patterns of thoughtful consideration. Perhaps there is wisdom in what you've shown him." Over the following hours, as the medical staff continued their rounds and the Vorthok guards observed human operations, understanding began to grow on both sides. The warriors watched Maya and her team work with tireless dedication, treating patients from a dozen different species with equal care. They saw humans push themselves to exhaustion for strangers, share their limited resources without complaint, and face impossible medical challenges with stubborn determination. These weren't the weak, selfish creatures many galactic species believed humans to be. Meanwhile, Maya learned that Vorthok culture valued honor and duty above personal comfort, that their warrior ethos included protection of the helpless, and that their rigid exterior concealed deep emotional bonds to family and clan. We have much to learn from each other, Kale told Maya as they watched his brother speak quietly with the medical staff, asking detailed questions about their procedures and philosophy. Asterisk. The alliance won't happen overnight, Maya cautioned. There will be bureaucracy, negotiations, probably some opposition from both sides. But it will happen, Kale said with quiet confidence. Because you've proven that impossible things become possible when someone refuses to give up. The legacy 6 months later. The Hippocrates medical station had been transformed into the first joint human Vorthok research facility. Dr. Maya Chen found herself directing a team of physicians from both species, sharing knowledge and techniques that benefited everyone. Prince Kale had abdicated his claim to the throne, choosing instead to study human medicine and establish similar facilities throughout Vorthok space. His brother Thane had become an unlikely advocate for the human alliance, arguing in the Imperial Council that Maya's example proved humans possessed warrior virtues expressed through healing rather than warfare. The formal alliance between Earth and the Vorthok Empire had indeed faced bureaucratic obstacles and political resistance, but Kale's heart debt declaration carried enormous weight in Vorthok culture. When the Imperial Prince publicly honored a human as his life's savior, it became impossible for the Empire to treat humanity as inferior. Trade agreements followed, then mutual defense pacts, then cultural exchange programs. Human medical teams brought their innovative techniques to Vorthok worlds, while Vorthok engineering helped humanity build better starships and space habitats. But for Maya, the greatest success was simpler and more personal. Late one evening, as she finished her rounds in the expanded medical facility, she found Kale in the research lab, carefully studying cell cultures from a rare alien pathogen. "How's the research going?" she asked. "Promising. Your technique for synthesizing antitoxins is proving applicable to hegemony bioweapons. We might be able to develop broad-spectrum countermeasures." Maya smiled, remembering the exhausted warrior she had first met. "You know, when I first saw you, I never imagined you'd become a researcher. When I first saw you, I never imagined a human could teach a Vorthok prince the meaning of true strength," Kale replied. "But that's what you did. You showed me that the greatest victories come not from defeating enemies, but from refusing to let anyone become your enemy." Outside the viewport, ships from a dozen species docked at the station, bringing patients, students, and researchers from across the galaxy. What had started as one woman's refusal to give up on a dying patient had grown into something that changed the balance of galactic civilization. Maya had proven once again that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their numbers. It was their stubborn insistence that every life mattered, that every person deserved a chance, and that the impossible was just another challenge to overcome. The historians would write that the human Vorthok alliance began with a medical emergency and a 72-hour surgery, but those who lived it knew the truth. It began the moment a tired human doctor looked at a dying alien prince and decided that giving up wasn't an option. Because that's what humans do. They refuse to quit when quitting makes sense. They pour everything they have into helping others, even strangers from distant stars. And sometimes, when the galaxy least expects it, that stubborn compassion changes everything. The end. Continue the story. Type yes or click continue to explore what happens next in this galactic alliance. ..